Good afternoon. Welcome to TakeStock Live. My name is Sam Evans and it's just gone noon here on East Coast time. We are live here on Facebook Live. Good to see you on the show. I hope you're all well and happy. I hope the week's been treating you well. And more importantly, I hope you're thawing out. If you've been in Texas or anywhere else in the world, it seems that just California's been mainly escaping this. But man, what a Mother Nature is just kicking our backsides, it seems, lately. So I hope you're doing well. Happy the sun's out here on the East Coast at the moment. We're all feeling good and we're really glad that you could join us on the show today as well. We are live here on Facebook Live, so feel free to type in your comments if you're actually watching this live. We know you do. I'm going to be joined in a little bit by my good friend, colleague, partner, Ryan Watkins, lead coach at StockAbility, as we discuss today the top 5 features we look for in any good broker. I had a lot of questions about this. They say, Sam, I see you using charts on the show. What do you look for in a good broker? You know, give us some pointers, because it is quite an overwhelming subject. So we thought we'd kind of just make this informative, educational, and informational all in one go as well. Ryan will be joining us in just a few minutes. We're also going to be doing your call, my put, looking at the markets. Ryan's got what he's looking at. I've got what I'm looking at as well, but it wouldn't be Take Stock Live if we didn't actually look at the live markets as well and see what's basically going on in there. So we will be doing that too as well. If you are looking at the recording of this, remember you can see this recording on Facebook Live and also on the StockAbility YouTube channel. Take Stock is brought to you by StockAbility.com. All right, what's in the headlines? What's driving the markets today? It's a Thursday. I always like Thursdays to do our analysis. The great thing about doing things on a Thursday is like you've had a good few days of the week, but a lot can happen between Thursday and Friday, and this is what's great. And one of the things I like is COVID is not dominating the news. Before we go any further, finally starting to see some good uptrending in COVID cases around the world, making us feel really good about that as well. Hopefully some more good news is on the horizon, which is great. And it's interesting to see the market kind of dominated by other factors. What is it? We've seen a fantastic run in the market over the last couple of days, and we're going to go and take a look at this as well. But the Dow set for a higher open, another major comeback. We have had some sharp sell-offs in the last 10 days or so, and every single time the market has bounced back, except today. Today it isn't bouncing back with quite the same amount. Right now, last time I checked, Dow just broken 3,106 points. So 31,591 is your ticker right now on the Dow Jones. S&P trading at 3864 and a quarter. Russell at 2235. So that 2,200 point is there. And NASDAQ cannot hold on to the 3,000 mark. I am talking about the futures here at the moment as well. Dow is actually down 322 points on the day as well. So seeing some selling pressure. Again, is it anything to be majorly concerned about at this point? I don't believe so. This is what markets do. They correct. We've been in a major ranging holding pattern on the charts right now. And why don't we actually just go and take a look at that? Let's bring up the DIA, which is the Dow ETF. And what I want to do is I want to just go over to the charts right now. Pull up these on here so everybody can see this too. And let's just zoom in. I like to really kind of look at this. And if you see at the pattern that we had a ton of sideways action in the market, real indecision, and a major pop to the upside on the Dow today. And then we can see where the markets are at the moment, kind of just putting a little bit of immense pressure on the market right now as well. Wouldn't be surprised to see this market making its way just a touch lower down to around this $315, $313 mark right now as well. That wouldn't surprise me. These markets have been overbought. I've said this many a time. Markets need pullbacks to be able to continue. This doesn't mean suddenly I'm a perpetual bear. It's just a name of the game. It's just what happens as well. Been short on the market myself today. Already took some profit on this. Got a little bit conservative about it. It's all good. One day you've got to be a buyer, one day you've got to be a seller. That's the name of the game when it comes to trading as it goes. Don't get attached to an idea. It can be a very, very dangerous thing. How is this actually impacting? Let's take a look at the Qqq Etf, which is, remember, the best representation of the NASDAQ. Seeing the same thing on here as well. NASDAQ has been struggling. Now, a lot of time on the show, especially I know when Ryan was on the show, we were talking about this. If you look at the overextension in the NASDAQ, and we're looking at weekly time frames, we're looking at monthly time frames. One of the things that's a bit of a tell for me right now on this chart is the selling pressure that we are seeing in this area. You know, we're coming to the end of this month. This is quite a bearish pattern, a double doji top that we're seeing on here. suggesting a lot of selling pressure in this market. I would not be surprised to see us taking a bit of a sell-off down to this 280 mark before any time soon. And that's the monthly chart. But before we do that, we've got a little bit of buying activity in these weekly areas that could help push this. But again, starting to see this today, wouldn't be too surprised to see this market continue to the downside with about 312 as the mark right now on here. A lot of pressure on those markets. I'm focusing mainly on the Dow there, on the Nasdaq. It wouldn't be a show if we didn't look at the SPY. We've got to look at the king of it all. We've got to look at the daddies, the SPY. Let's see what this is. Again, when I see moves in the SPY, we never really see anything quite as exaggerated on the SPY and the S&P 500 spiders. But today, a big day. Again, look at this. All of yesterday's gains given back. That's one of the things we talk about. Why you have to, as an investor, be incredibly aware of the downside. You know, one of the things to say about that, you know, is when we are looking at these markets, okay, being aware that markets come down a lot quicker than they go up in general. This is a big thing that a lot of people seem to forget. Stairs up, elevator down. You may have heard this several times as well. So an important thing to think about. It does shock a lot of investors. I got to say, a lot of wide open space. What am I looking at on here? Probably at least down to around the 380 mark. Again, I'm not writing this off. We needed this. We needed some selling pressure. We needed some profit taking. It's just one of the names of the game. It's just the way the markets work. Get used to it, guys. If you're going to be in this market, nothing will shock you if you do this for long enough. I can tell you that. What other news is dominating right now was initial jobless claims earlier today. See a big drop in the last week. Weather skew data as well, they're saying. So Thursday morning, the government reported 730,000 new filings for unemployment benefits last week. Okay, a huge initial claims drop of 111 from the downwardly revised prior week. Blaming weather skew data. Okay, well, they'll do it any way they can. GameStop's in the news again. Oh, boring. Here we go again. Shares surging as Reddit. Shares surging at the moment. Apparently Reddit favorites are beginning to rally again. We've seen a little bit of that. Let's go take a look at that real quickly and see. I like to be recent on this. Let's go take a look and see at the GME charts what we are actually finding on here. Let's go take a look over and side on back over to the charts and see. Here is GameStop as of today. We can see that meteoric drop from nearly $500, taking it down as low as 38. And right now, just if you can't see it, $139 a share. We had another gap up on this. I'm not getting too excited about it. Safer things to trade. The downward pressure on the market ain't going to help it too much. Again, it's just the hot thing to trade. I think there's far safer things. Let's move on. I'm really not too worried about that. Maybe those people are hoping that all the money that they lost the last time around, they're going to make a little bit of it back. Trust me, there are safer, better ways of doing this. Finally, Pfizer and Moderna work on shots again against the strain discovered in South Africa. Johnson & Johnson also said that, you know, they've now got the approval from the FDA as well. That's their one and done shot. So very good news. And literally, it seems that especially my motherland, my homeland, is getting on very well with the shots. Hopefully the rest of the world can catch up. Vaccinations are going up. Cases are going down, which is great. And the GOP rallies against Democrats' COVID relief package, well, that's just politics. Up, down, sideways, you name it. There's never any real clarity on any of this kind of stuff. So there we are. Lots of things to talk about. We've talked about them right now. That's the market and so on. But today's topic of the show is talking about a broker. You know, we can gas about the markets. We can talk about all these things. But if you don't have a trading account to trade with, you're not really going to be able to get very far. And today's guest is a great friend of mine, partner at StockAbility as well, who I love having on the show as well, and always brings immense value for this. So I thought, what better person to bring on to talk about brokers? Someone who's probably tried every kind of broker out there as well, for many, many, many times as well. Mr. Ryan Watkins, how are you doing from your penthouse suite, sir?
Good. How you doing, Sam? And I don't know about every broker, but I've been through a few in my time.
You have, obviously. You know, it's a great subject as well. I love the haircut, by the way. Gotta say,
Thanks.
It works for you. It does work for you.
I got in a fight with the Clippers and lost.
I don't know. You know, sometimes I don't know if I could pull it off, and I'm thinking, while I got here, I want to try and keep as much of it as I can. But I do like it on you. I gotta say.
Yeah,
you know,
it's all right. It feels kind of funny right now, but I like it.
Good,
so it's.
Good. How does the wife enjoy it? Like,
she likes it too, and my kids are like, "What happened, Daddy?" You know.
What's actually happened on there? Well, listen, great to have you on the show again. What you've been up to? I know you had a recent trip back to California, and now you're in Georgia as well, doing your thing.
Yeah, just visiting family and bringing some more stuff out here to Georgia that, you know, we weren't planning on staying so long. It's a couple months visiting family and stuff. We're like, hey, it's kind of nice out here. Let's stay for a little longer. And nice thing about being a trader is take your laptop, you got internet, and you're in business. So
Do it anywhere in the
just
world,
got
right?
my computer set up here, my monitors, and there you go.
Love
Have
it.
computer will travel. So
It's
it's
a
working
great
out
thing,
pretty
isn't
good.
it?
So
And that's one of the things we love so much about it as well. And that's actually something on the subject we're talking about here with brokers as well, is mobility. I mean, I have the desktop setup that I work from a lot of the time at home, but having that flexibility is a really cool, important thing as well.
Very nice.
We should definitely talk about that. Before we get into brokers and so on as well, just going through the news on here. I mean, I'm going to bring up the charts with you so we can just talk a little bit about current affairs as well. Here's the charts you should be seeing right now, and I'll zoom in. Was just talking with the viewers and the listeners on here about GameStop. Big old surge in here. I'm just like, my advice is stay away from it, guys. It
here
feels
we go
like
again.
the reek of desperation. I am going to make money out of this, and here we go again. And I see that gap up, and today, big old sell-off as well. How much do the overall forces of the market affect this as well? Because if we go back over to, let's go now take a look at the, let's go into the Dow Jones Futures, which I've actually been trading earlier today. And was looking for a target earlier on today, and I'm going to zoom in so you can see it here, Ryan. Today I was looking for a move to around this. You probably see it 31,600. We had a massive day in the Dow Jones yesterday, and I was actually riding the market, and I bought a break of the new highs, to go with that momentum, and got a nice exit on that. And today I was bearish, had to change it as well. When you see the overall stock indexes with this kind of pressure, can a GameStop, no matter what people do, hold up to that? Or, you expect as well, if we can get continued pressure in the overall market, you're going to see that on the likes of even what's going on in GameStop?
Something like what GameStop's going through, it's really almost in its own world right now. Now, some of that will be correlated with the broader markets. There's always some correlation with that. But at this point, I think that correlation's fairly small. And the volatility that we see in GameStop, it's its own personality. And sometimes you see stocks go through that, like AMC too. Yeah. So there is correlation. I mean, stocks are correlated with their broader markets, the big indexes, that's just known. But, those correlations are not 100%. Yeah. And when you get something that's, the talk of the town, like an AMC or a GameStop or something like that, there's a lot of attention drawn towards that. And that brings in even more buyers and sellers into that market. And it's really at the whim of the emotional roller coaster of the speculators, buying or selling that.
Every guest I've had on the show recently as well, Ryan, they've all been said to me, they're professionals. They've been doing this for a long time. They're like, they don't care. They go to the same names that they trade over and over again. Are you the same? Do you have a pretty kind of just the go-tos that you like to do? Or do you also leave a bit of room to kind of explore outwards and look for something fresh as well?
I do leave a small margin to go out and explore for new things, because there's always a new opportunity somewhere. But I am not going to be attracted to something like a GameStop. It's just not what I do. Yeah. I really want to be consistent with my normal stocks, my normal markets. And I'll tell you, it's predominantly the NASDAQ 100. Yeah. That is just my go-to. That's where the growth is. That's where the volatility and good, healthy movement is. And so if it's on that list, that gives me a starting point. And from there, then I filter it down more and more and say, okay, of those NASDAQ 100, which ones of those are going to be the strongest ones, that are meeting my other criteria, like chart patterns and volume requirements, liquidity requirements, things like that. So it's not like I have this huge list of requirements. It's actually pretty straightforward. But it's also focused and narrow to predominantly the NASDAQ 100. Nice. Now, if I get something, let's say a stock that might be on the Dow or just some other stock or ETF for that matter, then I'll say, okay, does it meet the criteria? Because there are some stocks out there that I will consider trading if it meets other criteria. And that criteria is important. And number one is liquidity. That has to have liquidity for me to trade. And if it doesn't, then what's the point of me trading the thing?
Right. There's in the past risk on the unknown, isn't there, when you're venturing?
It is. And I have too many times in the past gotten into a position and then it doesn't have the liquidity for me to get out of that position when I need to get out. And to me, that's just risk. And I don't want that kind of risk. It's just not worth it. I've had too many times where I need to get out. I need to get out. Sure. I need to get out now, right now. And I can't get out because the liquidity is just not there, or I can't get out at the price I want to get out at. and then I'll take a bigger loss. It's just not worth it.
I dabbled in when I discovered the world of futures. I remember years ago, going back over a decade, dabbling with lumber and orange juice, and not
Yeah,
frozen
sure.
orange juice. Because guess what? I watch Trading Places, and I thought, hey man, price is price, charts are charts. And I would say that when you get, into a good rhythm, charts are charts, price is price, but you still have to understand, can I buy, can I sell? A buyer needs a seller and a seller needs a buyer, and vice versa.
Yeah.
And I remember with orange juice, it was great, but very seasonal. I know you're a man who follows a lot of the seasonality on here.
Yeah.
Hugely seasonal. It just got to the point where
it really is.
There's a very small window in the year, whereas, I love the Dow Jones Futures. Let's go back over to the charts here for a second. I love trading these Dow Jones Futures. I've been a fan of these for a while. The NASDAQ Futures I've had a lot of experience with, and I still love it. I'm still finding the volatility that bit much, and I've changed as a trader. I'm only looking for 1 or 2 trades a day. I'm like kind of becoming almost Ryan, one and done, and I try to get in. I believe you take on more risk if you keep getting in,
I agree.
I would rather get in, define my risk, and off we go. And like, for example, today, the Dow Jones, I was on this today, trading this. And I'll zoom in a little bit for you so you can see. But what I was basically expecting was, a break of these particular lows here would signify some kind of downward momentum in the market. And I got that, and I preempted it. But I will say this, I gave myself a decent room for error. I gave myself about this much kind of room for error on this. And then I took the market down to here. I think I ended up making about a 3-1 on the trade, which was solid, and I was happy with it. And that's a great, and actually it was a 4-1 because I ended up with the 3. I had a small loss on another one. But the point was, I was just looking for that. Now I could get back in and say, well, is it going to go lower and all that kind of good stuff? I'm not bothered about that. Yesterday, Ryan, I was bullish all day long on the market and rode it up and just trailed the stop because I was like, well, this thing could turn on a dime like it has today.
Right.
And I locked in profit. So it's just different tactics. But I find that by sticking to a market and being with that, I can get to know a little bit more of the rhythm by doing that as well.
Yeah.
And I kind of don't want to be looking at everything. This way with the Dow, I can just trade that and there's enough volume in it and off I go. Call me dull, but, at the end of the day, I want to be safe, right? And I think people...
Well, the other thing, too, is, in that example, you're day trading, so it makes a lot more sense to just focus on 1 or 2 markets. If you're swing trading, like I do a lot of swing trading, focusing on one market is just not going to get me enough churn to get the account direction going. So I have to cast a bigger net, have more markets, so I get more opportunities as a swing trader. And so really it depends, and this will actually lead into our talk today about the brokerage side, is what style of trading are you doing?
Yeah.
And then that will dictate, different brokerage features, different markets to trade and things like that. I know when I was started day trading, I'd try to day trade anything that moved, and I had 600 stocks that I was trying to monitor and day trade. It was, I look back now and I just laugh, like, what was I thinking?
Sure.
And now it's so different now. It just is. You learn things, what works and what doesn't work, and day trading 600 stocks does not work for me.
Oh, I know, my friend. I've been there and done that. Look, I'll zoom in again so you can hopefully see this as well, Ryan. But this is like a little bit of a watch list here of some of the things that I like to look at. I like to do options for my swing trading. So, you've got Tesla's, Facebook's, Amazon, First Solar,
big
Priceline,
names, lots of liquidity.
all big names, and so on and here. And they're kind of like the ones I'll look at, and I'll say to myself, hey, they're great for the swing trades. But when it comes to my regular trading, I don't want any aggravation, just getting in, getting out, and being done as well. While we're on the subject of the broad markets, and before we get over to the brokers, just love to get your opinions. How you feeling about the markets? I opened up the show, looking at the charts today as well. We opened up, seeing some selling pressure in the market today, and that. Anything to be majorly concerned about? Just a little bit of a correction, or do you still see bad news ahead?
I wouldn't say concerned about this. Is just your normal volatility as usual type of thing. Yeah. We're in a corrective phase right now, and that's just what the market does. It corrects, so that means markets go down, and that oftentimes leads to more volatility. So I think we could expect more volatility. At some point, it'll bottom out, and we'll get the next move up, unless the trend changes, which very well could happen. And if the trend does change, then so be it. It changes. Now we're heading down. Get out the short gun and start looking for shorting opportunities in that case.
Yeah.
So right now it's just business as usual. You buy the pullbacks, you buy the dips as long as that uptrend stays intact. If and whenever the uptrend changes, then we switch and now start shorting those rallies.
I still
And
see
it's
too
just
many.
literally that simple. You buy the dips, you
Yeah,
short the
I know.
rallies. You buy the dips, you
You
short
short
the
the
rallies.
rallies. I
And if
know.
someone didn't hear that, you buy the dips, you short the rallies. And it's just that simple. People complicate this and they put in their own whatever over analysis and spin and emotions and all that stuff. But I think it comes to a point where it's almost like you have to like that compulsive impulsive trader has to die. You know what I
Right.
mean? Like
Yeah.
it just has to die.
Yeah.
And so you can become this new trader that says, I am disciplined, I am focused, I know what I do and I know how to do it. But as long as I keep being this emotional, irrational, impulsive trader out there, we're going to get terrible results. So that trader's got to die.
And that's something I know, like, we've all been through that battle,
Yeah,
still to this day working with
it is a
students.
battle. It's a battle. It really is.
The simpler I make it, the easier it's, and acceptance. I mean, today I ended up taking, a 3 or 4 to 1 on that trade, and guess what? It went lower. I'm like, oh well, who cares? I mean, I had a
Yep.
loss. I wanted to cover it, walk away with 3 half of the day, clipped me out and went without me. So what? It could have also then turned and I could have said, hey, I nailed that exit, right?
Right.
Acceptance is a big part of this.
Yeah.
It's a huge thing. Just a couple of shout outs to some of our regulars. Louise Fox out in the UK. Hope you're doing well. Give my love to Max as well. Jesus, Hita, Dana Joyce on here as well. Great to see you guys on the show too. Please type in any questions if you have them for Ryan or myself as we go through this too. Ryan, let's talk a little bit about brokers, because another trap I found people fall into is they think that the broker's going to make the difference. And brokers, I feel, can be incredibly seductive. They have a business model. And let's not talk about the Robin Hood one. And I'm not here to put anyone down, but we know very clearly how, many brokers today make their money. It's no big secret. They sell their order flow to external institutions and so on. I don't want to get into that. What I want to talk about is the features that are going to help an investor or trader. And I think that some platforms, people make the mistake of thinking that, my brokerage platform's got all these fancy scanners and tools and all this, and that's going to make me money. And I'm like, well, then why is everybody with a brokerage account not making money then?
Right.
I don't know about you. I like simple and stuff, but we've put together a little top 5 that I'd love to discuss with you. But
Sure.
Just on this, you've experienced a few different brokers over the years as well. I mean, what for you do you, what's your favorite? Do you like the complex? Do you like the simple? Do you have a preference over execution charts? Tell us a little bit about that, and then we'll go through this top 5.
Sure. So the most important thing for me is reliability. When I'm placing a trade, I want that trade to execute and go through.
Right.
And if it doesn't, I can't rely on it. And so reliability is incredibly important for me. And some brokers are more reliable than others. That's just, there it is. And
there's been a few issues with that lately with some of the brokers we've worked with, right?
Yep, sure, absolutely. And so that's a big deal. I'd probably put that as number 1, maybe number 2, but it's up there. Another thing for me is, like you said, simplicity. I don't need all the bells and whistles. I want simple. I want something I can execute my orders quickly. And charting, of course, is very important. I am a chartist. I base most of my trading decisions on what the technicals are telling me or showing me on the charts. So I need good quality charting. And so those are really important to me right there. And I mean, there's a lot of things out there, like commissions and, bells and whistles and features, benefits, all that type of stuff. So to me, those are all secondary. For example, I'll give you one example here. So one way of trading, like the investing, I should say, I use a very specific brokerage firm for that because they cater more to that style of investing that I'm doing.
Okay.
Whereas trading is different. And I need different features. I need different things. Execution reliability is always still important, but I think for traders that are thinking out there about, well, what broker is good for me, I would ask first, what type of trading or investing are you doing?
Right.
And let that be your foundation, your plumb line, if you will, so that now you say, okay, here's what I'm doing. Therefore, I need, things that will benefit that style of trading or that style of investing. There's one brokerage firm in particular that has a really cool piece of technology that lets me rebalance asset allocations like bam in a snap of a finger. I'm like, that is so cool. I love that. That's going to help my clients. That's amazing. I mean, let me do that.
Yeah.
but the rest of it's terrible. So I'm like,
right.
no, you know.
I guess
I'm
that's
like, okay.
I guess that's also the question. Have you ever found, because I can only speak for myself, but I've never found a broker that does it all. That's got that one
wish there
size
was.
fits all. You know?
Yeah, I wish there was. And it's not, you know, because one brokerage firm might have an amazing feature on their trading platform or investment platform. Like, that's it, that's the one. But if they have terrible customer service, then, well, you know, there goes that, you know, if you need customer service.
Yeah.
At this point in my trading career, I don't need good customer service. I just need customer service when I need it, which is very rare, but occasionally I will need it. And so that's not real high on my list. But if I'm starting out as a trader, or if I'm starting out as an investor, I'd probably put customer service higher up on the food chain for me, because I would need to rely on them much more. And there's companies out there that have outstanding customer service.
Yeah.
But they might not have the other stuff that I need. So there's always that trade-off. So I would say to the trader listening is, what is important to you? And then match up, you know, the brokerage firms that offer that really important thing, with also keeping in mind that it will change over the years.
It will, yes, that's true.
You know,
as you trade different things as well and invest in different things, right? And your own style.
About 28 years ago I started, and what was important then is not important to me now.
Yeah.
So those things will change, you know, as your experience and your education grows over time. You know, you might end up switching brokerage firms. Yeah. And that's okay, you know, because they don't maybe suit your need anymore and another broker does.
Yeah. Yeah, and they make it easy for you today to do that as well, moving money around, which is a good thing. I think as well, before we get into the top 5, I think one of the things I've always found is, you know, some people on the hardware you use, you know, some people love PC, some people love Macs. You know, I work off I'm an Apple Mac fan. I've worked off them for years, but I have a dedicated PC for the software, because there's just some software that operates on PC only and some does, and I've worked out now I can blend it and have them running side by side, and it's all good. But again, it is down to your needs as well. I will say it's very much like driving a car as well. When you get your head around one, you can kind of get your head. I've just been working with a new platform recently, and I'm still getting my head around it, but because I've got a bit of a familiarity with a number of other platforms, it gets a little bit easier as well. So it will get easier. I will always say, for anyone starting though, simplicity is best, because you might want that super fast execution, but hey, that doesn't mean you should do it. It could be that it's really dangerous for you and you're clicking too many buttons. What I put together here, and I want to just kind of make sure that, you know, we can all see this as well. And again, I'll zoom in. I have to resize you a little bit here, Ryan. There you go. So I've got you so we can fit it all on the screen as well. I put together a little top 5 for us as well. And again, I will go through this again, and these will be up on the screen in the bottom, on my bottom left-hand side, on my right, on your left on the screen as well. The first thing, top 5, we put this top 5 together of what to look for in a broker. Okay, what things to look for, and I'll zoom that up just a little bit so maybe you can see that as well. What to look for in a broker. The first thing I think for me is, well, what am I actually going to trade? Now, what will I trade? That's an important part of it, because there are some brokers who just exclusively do stocks, some who just do options, some who do futures. Again, I'm back to this thing, Ryan. You know, you can say, well, I want everything. Well, I would never recommend everybody just start with everything. How important is it, you think, to just start with one asset class and then build out? Because, again, if you plan to build out with more, it could be good to already have a broker who does it. But, you know, again, you don't want to get yourself overwhelmed, right?
Right. Right. And that's the thing, you know, if someone says, oh, I trade futures, or I want to trade futures, I would say, okay, let's go find a broker that specializes in futures, because that's where you're starting. And then, you know, if you decide to do stocks or options later on, then go to that specialist. Now, there's very few brokerage firms out there that offer pretty much everything, you know, stocks, futures, Forex, options. And if they do offer everything, you, the trader, really need to ask, is that really what's best for me?
Well,
or should I say, hey, I trade options, so I'm going to use this broker because they are a specialty options, kind of like a boutique firm type of thing, but they specialize in options. And then this broker over here specializes in futures. I would prefer that myself, because there's different things for futures that I look for, and compared to when I trade options. Whereas if I'm going to one size fits all, again, just my own personal opinion, I haven't found that works all that great.
It doesn't.
But, you know, that's just personal opinion. Someone else might say, hey, I'm fine with that.
And
Go
also,
for it.
you never
But
know. You never know what could happen as well. It might having your money in different places as well in the event of something major.
yeah, I'm a fan of that.
That's a good thing. Rather than having all your
Yeah.
eggs in one basket, you never know. Markets could collapse, brokers could become insolvent, and while there are protections, it takes
Yep.
time to release your funds again. So having your money
Yeah.
spread around to me also just makes sense too.
I agree with that. I've seen brokers come and go. I've seen them go out of business, and it's ugly.
Yeah.
And why take a chance?
And I think also one thing I would say though about this is I love my charts, and I would say with charting, which we'll talk about, and again it can be nice to have one broker that charts everything and use a charting package for one thing, which is pretty much what I do for 90% of what I do, and then I kind of do the execution as well. And we'll come over to charts in just a second. Commissions, I remember back in the day, this was a huge thing with commissions. Everyone it's all become much of a muchness now. Now all these brokers offering zero commissions. Let's be clear about that. They're offering zero commissions on stock trades. You're probably not going to get zero commissions on options trades and futures trades, right, Ryan?
Right.
As a day trader, if they know you're going to be clicking buttons as a day trader, they ain't going to give you free commissions constantly. And always ask yourself a question. As we know now with the likes of Robinhood, they make their money by selling their customers' orders onto somebody else, and there is a reason why those big institutions and funds want to know what you're doing. Just a little heads up to anybody who's looking at the show right now, because maybe they're doing the opposite as well. It's incredible though. Going back into the day right now, we had Merlin Rothfeld, who and I both know very well. Years ago, and he was saying it was costing hundreds of dollars to take trades. Dollars to take trades. Today, it's just not like that, is it, Ryan?
No. Yeah, I remember Merlin and I were on the same trading floor in when was this? Late 90s. And commissions were about $62.50 per side, and now they're free. Look how far we've come,
Yeah.
And when it comes to commissions, and I hear this a lot of traders, they don't want to go with a certain broker because they're higher commissions. And I look at this as this, okay, well, what are you giving up for that though?
Yes.
Because you might have one broker that says, well, we have zero commissions. But if they're charging you $100 a month for their data or their platform, that's a whole nother issue there, So you're still getting charged one way or another. You will be charged one way or another.
Yeah.
So it might not be in commissions, but it might be in something else. So those are also some factors we need to look at.
They're always going to get you, right?
Yeah, they're going to get you one way or another. Yeah, whether they call it a quote unquote commission or a spread or a platform fee, a data fee, a management fee, whatever.
Yeah.
They're in the business to make money.
Yeah.
And okay, fine, rightfully so. They're providing a service that we all need. I don't have a problem with that. But I look at it this way. I would not let commissions be the number one reason for a trader to make a decision to go with a broker or not. I have no problem paying a commission. I don't like paying them, and I want them to be lower, and I negotiate personally with the brokerage firms to lower my commissions, and they usually
And you can do that, can't you?
Yeah, they can. A lot of people don't know that. You can negotiate with them, and so for anyone that doesn't know that, give it a shot. Some brokers do, some brokers don't.
Well, if you're making money, that's the thing I think people need to remember. If you are making money and you're consistent in your trading and investing and you're paying commissions, that broker doesn't want to lose you. So if you go there and, you're putting through some serious money with them, they're going to do what they can to kind of keep you, so that is an option to anybody listening on the show right now. Another reason to get consistent, obviously, because you want to be profitable, but it's also going to inevitably start to reduce your commissions as well when you go forward as well. Just don't get too hung up on it is the message here, guys. Think about what you're trying to achieve with this. How simple to use. This is a big one, man. I gotta say this. There are platforms that I've got on and I've just given up after an hour. I'm like, this is just too complicated, And there's other ones I've stuck with and I'm like, this is good. But still, I think there is such a thing as too much of a good thing and too many features. For me, all I want is clean charts and clean execution. Where do you stand on this, Ryan?
I say about exactly the same. Clean charts, clean execution, something reliable. And that's 90% of what I need right there. Maybe like a watch list that's helpful, some simple things like that, but I don't need bells and whistles. And there are many bells and whistles out there that are, you see them on advertisements and they got all the shiny, sparkly stuff and, oh, look what you can do, this and that. Look, here's the deal. All those shiny things don't make a trader better. Skill does. And so if a trader wants to get better, it's skill that they need, not shiny stuff, sparkly glitter type of things in their charting. It's, in my opinion, more of a distraction. Just get in there, get your job done, execute your trade, and with as minimal distraction as possible. And that's something I had to go through too. I have a picture of it somewhere where I had my chart, and I think I had about 7 different indicators on that window, on that chart. I had like MACD, I had some like 3 or 4 oscillators, I had volume, on balance volume, stochastics. I mean, you name it, I had it on there, like 2 or 3 moving averages. And I'm like, looking at this, I'm like, where's the candlestick chart? Like, where's the chart?
Take it off. Who needs the price?
It was just too much stuff.
Yeah.
So now it's really just a focus on trading price.
Yeah.
And let that be, 90-95% of all the decisions being made to execute a trade.
I would say, as an educator, I would be an advocate for saying, hey, have a non-indicator mode on charts. Okay.
Yeah.
The way we like to teach is we don't use indicators, we use the price, and I think that people get seduced, and that's the dark path of the Holy Grail syndrome that it just doesn't exist. It's not there. It's just the way it is, and you got to understand that. So simplicity is always good in trading and in charting as well. This I included on here. Is there a mobile app, and how good is it? In today's world, I'm sorry, I cannot have any broker who doesn't have a decent mobile app. Whether it's an iPad or thing. And now, let me say this, Ryan. This is not because I want to sit on my phone constantly trading and doing that. But I remember, let me just tell a story here. I remember when I first started working with one of the brokers. I'm going back 15 years ago now, and there wasn't even a simulator in it, so it was just live. That was it, learn. And then I'd put orders in, and I could only put in day orders. Then they started to let me put in good till cancelled orders. But then I would have to go out, and, when I went out, I'd be like, oh, I don't want to go out because I might want to move a stop, and I want to manage a position and all that. So I used to use, do you remember Log Me In, where you could share your desktop and remote log in? There was a thing called...
I think so. Yeah, something like that. Yeah.
So I would have to then put a piece of software on my computer to share my desktop with an app on my cell phone to then log in and control my computer to exit the trades. And that was my workaround, and I wouldn't leave. And now it's just like, well, I can just shut everything down, go on out, set an alert on my phone. Bzz, bzz, bzz. Oh, it's hit that area. Log in and move a stop loss or close out trades. Or like at the weekend on a Friday. You got to remember, I used to live in the UK, so the markets were shut at 9 p.m. my time. 4 p.m. Eastern, 9 p.m. London. And I'm like, well, I'm down at the pub and I'm stressed because I've got orders I need to cancel. And, do you know what I mean? Whereas, how important is a mobile app? I know we're all locked down, a lot of us and stuff, but how important is a mobile app if you use it the right way, do you think?
For me, I'd go the other way. It's just not important to me.
No.
It's not. And I think a lot of that's maybe just where I'm at right now, when I trade, I'm in front of my computer with the big monitors. And I've just found, for me, it is safer to do it that way, less distracting. And if I try to use my phone, man, I can't tell you how many times when I try to text someone, like I'm sitting here trying to text,
let's just see those.
I spend more time correcting the spelling errors than I do if I just texted the thing.
Let's just get those monster hands on the screen for a second. I mean, you're not exactly a small man. I mean, look at that. This is the epitome of fat finger we could be talking about.
Yeah, that's right. Exactly.
Ladies and gentlemen, I go way back with this guy, and I'm not small. He makes me look like a child. So I can imagine that. Again, and I tell you this, Ryan, having a desktop setup is key. I'm old school. I like a mouse, right? I want that. I don't like all that. But for me, it's a kind of a peace of mind just to make sure. Like, I like being able to say, did I leave any orders in? I've only ever used a mobile. I've never set up a trade on a cell phone, ever, a mobile phone. But I have managed positions. I have cancelled orders out. So for me to have that peace of mind that at least I can just check everything's good on there, it's been there too. But again, it's back to style, isn't it? I think I would say is, I would expect, though, any broker worth their weight in gold would have invested in a good quality mobile app.
Sure, nowadays especially.
Maybe they, what does that say about them, right?
Yeah, right. The other thing too, like I do have a couple of my brokerage firms downloaded the app on my phone. I don't open it. I don't use it. It's there more as an emergency backup.
Well, there
like
you go.
if my computer goes down or internet goes down here, I have my mobile phone, and I also have a portable Wi-Fi device that if for whatever reason I got to do something to check orders, take a trade or position, something like that, I know I can do it. I don't want to do it though.
Yeah.
I do not like using my phone. It's just like I want computers. If I could text on a computer with my keyboard, I would prefer to do that.
Oh, I know. Ladies and gentlemen, he very rarely answers my text. I know. So that's because he's trying to hit send and he's hitting delete because of those big old hands.
That has happened. That has happened. I'd rather email you.
Oh, dear. Got extra shout outs here to Pedro. Good to see you back in here. Lindsay, Cider, and Parker Cider saying, hey, thank you, Sam and Ryan. You've been a major help in my trading. That's wonderful to hear. Always here for you, Cider, and everybody else in the StockAbility community as well. All right, so our last one on our top 5, how are the charts? I left this till the end because to me, if there had to be one thing, and the execution, you can always find it. And I have, I've got my go-to charting platform, and then I'll execute on another platform. But for me, without charts, I feel like I'm dead in the water. And I want clean charts. And, it's funny. They all look the same, but they're not the same.
No, they're not. Yeah.
And unfortunately, in my experience, some of the most frustrating experiences I've been having over the last couple of years with programs, they've got the best charts. Unfortunately, they don't work. And it's a real frustration. How important is the charting to you, my friend?
It's extremely important to me. That has a lot to do with how I trade, and not just how I trade, but the decisions behind me trading. But also, it's just cleaner. It's easier to see, easier to understand when you have good charting. And I'm really struggling right now. I should say I've probably been struggling for years with one particular broker who has outstanding charting.
Oh, the best in the business.
Boy, am I frustrated with some other things that they do or don't do, I should say.
And the customer service thing that you were just talking about then before as well is just...
Yeah. So I think the solution here is use that particular broker for the charting, but another broker for the actual execution. And that's how I've gone over the years with that. And it's worked good that way. And it's like we were saying earlier, it's just no broker has it all. They just don't, unfortunately. So, I have a little bit of money, or I should say did move some money around just recently, but I pay for the charting on that service. So there's a cost there, but it's worth it in my opinion, because I have excellent charting. And then the other brokers I use for the execution.
That's a good way of doing it. Definitely a good way of doing it, Ryan. Let's just recap that list then and go on someone here. So what will I trade? Good questions for everybody to think about. What will I trade? What are my commissions? How simple is the platform to use? Is there a mobile app? How are the charts? I think the resounding thing that we can definitely say here is don't get worried about bells and whistles. Don't get seduced by this whole, I have to have all these fancy scanners and tools. You'll be doing yourself a favor if you actually keep things simple. I think Ryan would agree with me on that.
Absolutely,
as well.
100%.
And I think in today's day and age, a lot of decent quality brokers will offer you a free trial of their software. They'll let you try it out. They'll let you see what it's all about. There are definitely some that are expensive. One thing I'll add on this as well, be very, very, I didn't put it on the top 5, but be very cautious about paying for data. I work with one broker now, and as long as I got a funded account, all my data's free, and another one charge you for absolutely everything, So you have to just think about these, factor these things in. But also remember, if you treat this like a business, you can write a lot of these costs off as well, right, Ryan? I'm assuming you do the same yourself?
Right.
Yeah, absolutely. So let's see, Peggy just asking here, is there any issues with working with 2 brokers running on your computer at the same time? I do it many times. I've never had any issue with that. In fact, it can be quite a good thing to do just to see if one's actually lagging behind the other in any way as well. But right now on the machine I've got multiple brokers open too. So, and I've not had any issues. Anything you've had any issues with that at all, Ryan?
I haven't. I've had up to 3 brokers running at the same time, 3 different platforms run at the same time. I haven't had any issues at all. It works perfectly fine. The only issue that I have noticed is that if I'm running a particular virus software, that does conflict. So some virus protection softwares work really well with trading platforms, some do not.
Yeah, and I would definitely say that as well, Peggy, and anybody else, your IT, your software, you don't need a crazy fast internet connection. You really, really don't. I mean, I've found that. I've been worked off much slower platforms and it's been fine. It's not about the speed. It's actually pretty simple data that's coming down the line, but be very careful about third-party virus software and scanning packages. Me personally, I've always used, Windows built in. As a Mac user, I use theirs as well, and I've been fine. I mean, just be smart about where you're going on the internet, people. Just be smart about what websites you're going on and what you're saying yes to and what you're saying no to. Nothing else needs to be said about that.
Keep your computer clean.
Keep it clean as well. Recommend, and as I say, Peggy, on that, to answer your question, I don't recommend any individual third parties. I recommend you keep your Windows up to date, your Windows Defender system up to date. Always, regular updates are very good. They're a pain in the backside sometimes, but do your regular updates. And if you're a Mac user as well, your regular updates are built in there, and be smart on that. One of the best things you can get yourself is a VPN as well. I would always have a VPN, and VPNs no need to cost you like $100 a month, and that way it's going to protect any kind of like dodgy traffic coming in and out as well. So that would be my recommendation on that. If I'm on the road, I do like to use a VPN. I feel comfortable at home because I've got everything on the server here, but it can be a useful tool in that respect. Right, very informative stuff. Love it, absolutely. Love to do now as I come towards the end of the show. Your call, my put as well. Let's go on over to the charts. What do you have? I am the gentleman. I always say this. I give my guests the choice. Are you bullish, going with the call, or is it your put? Are you bearish? What are you today, my friend?
I'll go bullish on this one.
Yeah,
and I will go Dollar Tree, DLTR. DLTR.
Dollar Tree. Right. So before I share the screen, let me just get everything worked out for you on here so we can see this. This will be an interesting one. I see Dollar Tree. All right, so just zoom in on the charts. Let's take a little see. And here we go. I will do some zooming in where needed be at the moment. So tell me a little bit about this. What you're thinking, Ryan? We've got this on let me show everybody here. We have a monthly chart, we have a weekly chart, and we have a daily chart. Anything you want me to focus on here, or do you want to look at it from multiple angles?
Let's just go weekly for now. That'll keep it simple and clean there.
All right, lovely.
That'll be all we need on this
chart. Should be able to see that.
Yeah, so look right around about the $90 area, give or take. Look right about 90.
Looking somewhere around here, guys. There you go. Zooming in. There you go.
So right around there, we're not too far. We're 8-9 points away right now. So if price pulls back down into that area a little bit deeper here, down in that $90 area, I'd definitely be bullish right in that area there. Option strategies, or just buy the stock outright, whatever it may be. But that's where I'm bullish. The only concern I would say I have on this is earnings is coming up pretty soon. I believe it's March 3rd, so we're not too far away from that. So that'd be the only thing I would say. Just use caution on that. But other than that, I like that area, that 90, 85 to 93-ish dollar area there. I think it's a good spot to buy.
It has been a choppy market as well. I kind of like, I'm me, I'm a big chart fanatic as well. And I'm going to just zoom in over here. And this, my friends, if you want to just see, because it's a monthly chart that we've got on here as well. And again, in that same area, I will say, I said that $90 mark, nice little area. I will say, I think we could get it more. I mean, I love it even lower. I got to say, I'm looking at this here, Ryan, as well, with an unfilled gap around this area. But if the momentum's there, we could definitely get a decent little bounce off of this. What kind of profit targets do you think is potential on this?
I like the range on that, like you just pointed out, just the top of the range on that.
Yeah, so we'd probably be looking just to be conservative on this, to this top of this area here, probably around this 90. You've got to look at this area around 105 probably as well, if you want to be conservative around that area as well, just to be looking at that in that particular area as well. Anything from a fundamental perspective you like or not, or it's just a pure price action?
This did come up in my scans. I run some fundamental scans as well, and this came up pretty high also, so that's the other reason I like it. I when I'm dealing with stocks, I really want both the technical and the fundamentals. If it has one but not the other, it's kind of like, okay, that's good, but I want more.
And going back to what we were just talking about, so you could run those fundamentals on your platform as well, your brokerage platform, because that's quite an added bonus, right?
Yeah, and that's actually you can do it on certain brokerage platforms. Scan for technical type of things, scan for fundamental type of things, or there's third-party software out there that you can use, and I use a third-party software to do all the fundamental scans.
Beautiful
and then
thing.
I take that, transport it over into my watch list, and then run the technical scans from there.
Wonderful thing. We were just talking, oh my God, somebody's ears are burning. Trader Merlin just popped up on our live viewership as well. Big shout out to you, my friend. Looking forward to having you back on the show. We were literally just talking about you, sir.
Yeah.
And it was all good, I will say as well.
It was. You got a witness. It was good.
All right, so you've took the bull. I'm taking the bear. I'm going to go there, and I'm going on a pure, remember, price action kind of vibe on this. And you know me, I'll always put it out there. I don't mind putting that up there. I hope people have been looking at that crude oil. I mean, I've been bullish on that crude oil, by the way, for quite some time. This is not I told you so, but man, here we go, by the way, crude oil. We are still pushing higher. My go-to on crude oil, by the way, before we look at what else I'm bearish on, has been for quite some time $65. We are literally in spitting distance of that. You can see right now trading at 63.56 on the button as we go right now. I just don't think anyone can stop it at the moment. I gotta say, if we can get through these current highs, there's a seriously untested area. I'm giving us a bonus here, by the way, Ryan. There's a seriously untested area right up here at 70. I gotta say, I want to see a pullback. $50 is the new benchmark, I feel, in the short term, medium term right now. But I can't write off $70 on crude oil. Gotta say, in our trade rooms, I've been bullish on this, just trying to join that trend constantly as well. Do you like that still, oil, or are you getting feeling it's getting a bit
I tell you, that thing
heavy?
is so strong. It's just, you don't mess with that.
You don't, right? Stop trying to be a hero,
it's
people.
It's just too strong.
Stop trying to be a hero. That's what I say. You know, I was tweeting about this the other day. Like, everyone's trying to call the top on the market. And today's a wonderful, but they're a wonderful excuse for profit taking. And yesterday we had a classic example of too hard, too far, too fast. We're getting a correction on it. And until the market tells you otherwise, go with it. Go with it. Crude to the moon. Time to sell the V8 Escalade and buy a Prius. Gas hit $4 in California. Crude to the moon. $4. I was feeling sick to my stomach, Merlin. It's up nearly $3 here on the East Coast. Oh my gosh.
We're still in the twos here in Georgia.
And there's the reason why he truly moved. All right, wonderful. All right, NFLX Netflix is my bearish play on this. So a little bit of resistance whenever I bring up one of the big stocks on here. I get from people as well. I don't like the way this looks on the monthly chart, I gotta say. Now, this is me reading price action, Ryan. This is what it is, but I'm seeing a ton of selling pressure in this area for a number of months now. Now, this might just mean that there's major accumulation going on and so on as well. But and I'm not talking long-term bear, but I have to say, I really feel another test of about 480, this region here. If we don't hold that, again, I mean, 400, 420 to me is a real opportunity, I think, on Netflix. Major transitional area. But I just got to say on here, it's a top-heavy kind of market, and I'm being preemptive. I want to put that on there. You know, everything has a reason for why I do it. I am being aggressive on this, and I'm looking for subtle clues. And what I'm seeing on the clues right now is I'm beginning to see some weakness in here. And I think what's really got me as well on Netflix is there's these unfilled gaps lower as well. And there's a big unfilled gap I see in this $500 mark, which lines up with this as well. So that lines up pretty nicely, I would say, if we look at this, what I was just talking about, with what I was looking at over on this monthly chart as well here to the left-hand side. So, I mean, I would say to anybody right now, you know, and obviously, you know, because I look, it's going down, NASDAQ dragging it down, but I got to remain bearish on this, down to about 500. Tricky to get a good entry on this. This, to me, would be an options play, buying puts on it. What's your thoughts on this one, Ryan?
You know, I definitely see you got some room to the downside short term. Long term, I think you got a lot of upside down in that, let's see, about 470, 480 range.
Yes, yeah.
So that'd be a good long-term buy.
Let's take a look and see on here.
Because I see on the weekly chart that's still an uptrend.
It is still an uptrend.
Mildly.
It's a mild one.
I'd be looking to buy a pullback on that longer term.
I say it's limping up. It's limping up.
Right,
but it's
limping.
not falling down. I mean, and you can see on here as well. And I like that 480. I love it at 420 to 400. I mean, I really do see it at that particular point there for a little bit of a push to the upside on that as well. I think just a short-term play down to about 480 would be good. And I got to say, from a fundamentals point of view, I like what I'm seeing. I've had a renewed interest in Netflix lately, Ryan. I really have had a renewed interest in it. I like where they're going. Their content's solid. It's all good. I think they've upped their game, and I think there's a lot of good content coming out there as well. Like a lot of these markets, heavily overbought. Everything's expensive, but you've got to just buy those pullbacks like you just keep saying at the moment. But again, I do see the downside. It's not something I want. About $40 to $50, $60 worth of downside on that. That's my bearish call in the short term on there as well. Ryan, it's been a great show. Thank you so much.
Yeah,
I know you're a busy
welcome.
man. What are you working on? I know you got your teaching next week, right?
Yeah, teaching class next week. Got a GTS later on this afternoon.
Nice.
We're going to talk about swing trade. Look
Good.
at some setups for swing trading this afternoon.
Wonderful, wonderful. You got that a little bit later on, and working on some brand new content for StockAbility
right.
as well for newer traders coming through. It's always a pleasure to have you on the show, my friend. Enjoy the rest of your week as well. Have a good love to the family and everything. Stay safe, stay warm out there. I'll see you in a couple of weeks as well. Thank you so much, ladies and gentlemen.
See you, everybody.
Ladies and gentlemen, that was Ryan Watkins, lead instructor, lead coach at StockAbility. Almost forgot the name of it there as well. Always good to have him on the show. Absolutely love that as well. And hopefully that offered you just a little bit of an insight to what we look for with a good broker. Okay, this is what we always want to see. We want to see, basically, just simplicity, I think, over everything else. Simplicity is always going to be the most important thing whenever we're looking at any kind of broker as well. So I hope you enjoyed that and found some of that useful as well. In summary, there literally is absolutely no perfect broker out there. You're never going to find that perfect broker. It doesn't exist. If you have time in your calendar as well, it wouldn't be a show without to just go on to here and talk about some of the other things that we've got going on over at StockAbility as well. Let's go on to here and share this with you too. We have a few spaces. We've got a webinar coming up tonight. Let me share this with you. If you go to StockAbility.com onto our homepage, you will scroll down to the bottom of the page on here and you will see a number of our complimentary webinars coming up anytime soon. Tonight, we have the Trading Business Blueprint at 7 p.m. Eastern. That thing is nearly packed already. There are just a couple of spaces for that. Yours truly, Sam Evans, will be hosting that, joined by Dan Bustamante for a little bit on that. Talking about basically, trying to get into making our whole trading business simpler. Building a blueprint for success. Trying to just cut all of the distractions out and cut to the chase and adapt to market conditions as well. If you can't make it on that one, we are going to be repeating that webinar on this date here as well, which is on Tuesday, 16th of March, 11 a.m. Eastern as well. So if you're joining us from somewhere else in the world and that time zone doesn't suit you, we will be doing that 11 a.m. Eastern. Again, the same one, Trading Business Blueprint. These are live, my friends. Also, Ryan is going to be joining us on March 10th for understanding how the markets really work, breaking down a concept of price action, which is a huge subject that always garners a lot of people's attention on here. Feel free, please register for any of these as well at any time. We'd love to see you there as well, and we'll show you what we're all about and what we get up to here at StockAbility. Once again, been a completely great show on here. A lot of fun on this as well. And I tell you what, it's great seeing everybody coming in the show. Let's give a few more shout outs just before we wrap things up on here. Good to see you in here, Trader Merlin, Pedro joining us on here. Peggy, hope you enjoyed the questions. Parker, Sidon, Lindsay, Louise and Max, Dana, Jesus, all of you guys. And if you're looking at this live, great. And if you're actually going to be looking at this as the recording, let me thank you right now for looking at us on the recording too as well. The show's picking up traction. We love doing it. We love that you love coming and joining us as well. We will be back next week at the same time live here on Facebook Live as well. And we'll have a guest like we always do, 12 noon Eastern time, 5 p.m. London time. And remember, if you didn't catch this show or can't catch this show live, this is restreamed and rebroadcast with all of our archives on the StockAbility Facebook Live page. Also, please check out our YouTube channel, StockAbility's YouTube channel. We are putting content out daily, tips, tricks, videos, insights into the StockAbility world, what we get up to, how we look at the market, how we trade. We show you real stuff. We don't show you anything that happened after the fact. We show you stuff, and we want to help out any way we can as well. Guys, my name's Sam Evans. This has been Take Stock Live, powered to you by StockAbility.com. I will see you guys next week at the same time. Have a great rest of your week. Thank you.